with the yo-ho-ho, it's Tale of the Toaster. Welcome to another Inazuma 11 Aries episode review. We are here at episode 13, the halfway mark for the series, both for Aries itself and for these videos too. And it's the conclusion to the Raimon versus Polestar Academy match that started off in the previous episode. And I guess it started 2 episodes ago, but that was like 1 goal in 5 seconds. But speaking of which, we get that again, because before we've even had the opening song, this one does actually open immediately with here's Perfect Penguin. Perfect Penguin! It's got to be said correctly. Goes through the gravity cage, which I forgot existed. It didn't work this time. Nor did Splash Guard on the receiving end, so immediately Polestar's back in the lead again, 4-3. Gotta be Inazuma, but hey, I mean, usually when we've gotten to the point of 3-3, that's the point where Raimon sinks the 4th one, and then it's all over. We're clearly getting another episode's worth out of this one. I kind of picked the wrong time to have the Sandra is a good character ramble in the previous episode, because yeah, she's also let a bit of a humiliating one through here, but it's fine. It's so that we actually have another episode of Raimon versus Polestar to talk about. So let's see what happens next. So we could have had another, oh, there's only 5 minutes left fiasco, as Basil points out. There's not much time left. But thankfully it's unspecific enough to not make the window of time too specific. And instead, we actually hop over to Polestar's management bench, where we learn about the backstory of Mr. Yi, not through Mr. Yi himself or any kind of flashback, just some assistant dude on Polestar reads off all the stats, and it's really funny. Let's go in order. He graduated from Stanford University. I never thought I'd ever see that referenced in Inazuma, but here we are. That's the first point. He graduated from Stanford with top grades. Then he did 3 years of Kung Fu, which is a bit more understandable. But then he does 3 years in the military. That's the last thing I would have picked for Mr. Yi, but apparently he's served in the military as a Stanford University graduate, then goes on to be a baseball player. Sure. And then finally, 13 episodes into the series, the first bit of official acknowledgement that yes, he's actually played football before. He's both been a player for 3 years and he was a coach for 1. This is the first time this has been mentioned at all. Like, the first few episodes you're meant to think, does he even know what he's talking about? Is he just making this stuff up? I don't know if I could trust this guy. By now we definitely trust him. His game-winning strategies have helped us time and time again. He very clearly knows what he's talking about. But that's the first mention that he actually plays football, and more importantly, that after 1 year as a coach, he apparently criticised the sport and got banned from coaching, and he disappeared for 10 years. And the extra amusing part about this is that while Polestar's assistant is reading all this off and then talks about a coach getting banned for 10 years, Coach Travis is just in shot the whole time, and it's like, cinematic parallels much? This guy in the other timeline, he got banned for 10 years before becoming the Inazuma Japan coach. Did that happen in the Aries timeline? Because obviously in the Aries timeline versus the original trilogy, a lot's changed. We're not really seeing all the effects of that so far in the season, but we definitely will. But then Coach Travis is an interesting one, because his backstory isn't touched upon at all in Aries. He's certainly here and is a competent coach, albeit we don't get to see as much of it, but like, is he still Cam's dad in this timeline? We don't see her at all in the season, so that's a mystery. Did he get banned from being a coach? I don't see any reason why not. The whole timeline split was supposed to be a result of Alias Academy stuff never happening, and then there's a little bit extra unexplained stuff on the Sean Frost side of things, which I guess was linked to Alias. But like, there's nothing to say that Coach Travis's ban didn't happen, but it's also never addressed. I guess it doesn't need to be, you know, Mr. Yi's our coach, but it is funny just seeing this entire monologue happen right in front of him and he's just got nothing to say about it. So Elliot's going on another solo rampage, as he's known for at this point. He keeps doing it, bless him. He's learned the value of teamwork, but then he just does this every now and again, and Sonny's right there to stop him. If you remember from the previous episode, he got a little bit injured by shameful play from Acker Reese. Let's get this off, Nathan. I'm clearly going to need this as a bit of a prop throughout the ep. But yeah, Sonny got a little injury, and it's starting to come into effect. Like, not only did he trip a little bit while stopping Elliot, but also he's... There we go. Dangle him in front. Yeah, this guy shoved him. So, and now it's going to get even worse because Sonny just with his face blocks a penguin volley so that Sandra can finally get her first actual special move save of the match with Splash Guard. Clearly, yes, I admit she's going to need a new move to stand a chance against the upcoming matches, but Elliot's just one of the best players in the season. I wouldn't be able to stop him, so I don't blame her for not being able to stop him just yet. She'll continue to improve, and so will this guy, just hopefully with less violent plays going forward. But uh-oh, Dean Rush, the assistant of Raimon, has decided it's time to mention a specific time frame, as he says there's 3 minutes left in the match. And this, as on a rewatch, it's got me worried because I'm like, oh no, I'm going to have to tear this apart in the video again, aren't I? But actually, no. I think this is fine. I think 3 minutes was a little bit generous, but the amount of stuff that's going to happen in the remainder of the match, it's not really doable in 3 minutes, but it's at least doable within the last 10 minutes of a match. So we'll give them the freedom. It's not nearly as bad as Royal Academy's 5 minute long escapade across an entire episode. But what happens first is that Mr. Yi, among all of his military talents and baseball playing skills and football analytics, he even knows how to do acupressure. And he just brings Sonny over, prods him in the leg where he's gotten injured, and just brings him back to... It's like, where was this guy in Inazuma 11 the whole time? If anyone ever got injured, it's just Mr. Yi could revive him. My guy Jordan Greenway, who got kicked off of Inazuma National for getting injured briefly in one match. Mr. Yi, if you could have popped over and gave him the quick fix, then he could have done the rest of the season, please. Please. I'm begging. But yeah, the point is, it works. It's just another thing that Mr. Yi can do, and that means that in the remaining 3 minutes, Raimon can put on a bit more concerted of an effort. And they're going to do this with a new 3-player special move. And mixed feelings on this one. I think that the Aries team learning all of their tactics off screen and then just gradually bringing them in throughout matches as flashbacks, that's good. You don't need too many training montages like that. But maybe the Aries season as a whole would benefit from a little bit more time in between matches to just show Raimon learning moves, because some of the stuff that they're starting to bring out in matches is a bit much. Polar Bear number 2 will always be the most egregious example for the whole season. That was irritating. This time, yeah, there is at least acknowledgement again that they were training between matches and they've had time to do it, but the new special move that comes out is a 3-person shot between Valentine in midfield, then you've got your forwards Sonny and Basil doing the rest of the move, and it's one called Meteor Strike. I had to check that just to make sure I'd gotten it right, because yeah, it's name-wise it's pretty basic. Meteor Blade is one of the most famous special moves in Inazuma history, I think it's fair to say, the Ryusei Blade, but Meteor Strike is a different move. I guess it's a bit more like an actual meteor, I suppose, because 3 people get really high and then down it comes, and that's quite cool, but clearly something that would take a lot of training to pull off. It's a bit of a final match level move. I'm surprised to see it at the halfway mark. Not to say that this Raimon team aren't capable, but bringing these out at somewhat random is starting to grate just a little bit, especially when every collab shot ever is focused on, has involved Basil Hardy, when I'd really rather he just get his own solo special shot at this point. But and then Meteor Strike, yeah, it's just a normal meteor, but then also, if that's the goal, you know, here's the trajectory, it's coming down, oh, it's gonna miss, says the goalkeeper, and then it just drops and goes in. It's like, It won't be the last example of a move like this in the Ares and Orion arc, but at least that's kind of drawn upon. What's a good example from something that already exists? There's that fighting spirit shot, Ravenclaw, Thunderclaw thingy that where you scrape up and then balls coming down and it just drops. And that's not how football works. It can't just drop mid-shot. Like, obviously nothing in Inazuma is how football works, but you shouldn't be able to change the ball's trajectory in midair after the special move is complete. I think that's a little bit much. Elliot even does that himself at one point in this ep with a pass to himself. Like, basically double touch the special move, but as a normal passing maneuver. And it's like, we're breaking a few rules here, but yeah, Meteor Strike goes in. It's 4-4, and they draw upon the limited time. So Jude can be like, there won't be a next time. We can't adjust to this. They've got something else up their sleeve. And Elliot's like, is Raimon really that good? Yes, it seems that they are. They were at one point a team of newbies that could barely play, but they are long past that now. This team kind of busted. What Jude also points out here is that Raimon have kind of been playing Polestar into their own hands without realising it. It's this odd energy conservation strategy, but it's probably one of my highlights of the episode here because it points out something that you didn't necessarily notice but has been going on the whole time. Raimon have been trying to fool Polestar into using up all their energy, which they've managed, while Raimon themselves are actually relatively full of energy at the minute. And what they've been doing is deceiving not just Polestar, but also the viewer. Because Sonny is a forward, and he's already scored 2 goals in this match alone, so you don't really question the fact that, yes, he's a forward being a forward. But actually, if you look back on all the previous scenes where he's been engaging with Elliot, I kind of just thought of that as, well, it's the 2 pro tags of the series, so they've got to be having conversations. I guess Sonny's just got to hop into defence every now and again to talk to Elliot for dialogue. But actually, no, this wasn't just characterization. Sonny being in defence most of the time was actually part of the strategy. They were making Polestar focus on Sonny while all of the other players of Raimon were rotating and keeping their energy going. And as a result, Sonny himself is quite knackered, but Mr. Yi's given him some breathing technique to get around it. Like, the strategy falls apart in real world because Sonny would be exhausted by now, but Mr. Yi's breathing tactics, that will do. But yeah, Sonny has been doing all the legwork in defence. Even Trevor was going on the up front at one point. And then Jude, yeah, he got fooled by that, and he also knows something else has got to be coming. And it does. It's time for the 5th goal to put Raimon in the lead here. So Sonny's been playing this match mostly as a defender, and he's always kind of felt like a midfielder. He's been more of an Arian than a Mark Evans as a protagonist. But he is a forward, so it's about time he got his own proper special move. And what he unleashes is a move called Golden Gull, or Shining Bird in Japanese, and I actually really like this. I'm definitely more into solo shooting moves than I am into collab ones, so this wins out over Meteor Strike any day, but it's just got a good happy air to it. He hops into the air, you see the island sunset, that's obviously their sponsor as well, so nice little incorporation there. He just shoots the ball, and rather than turning into a penguin for the 50th time, instead we get a happy golden seagull thingy. And it's just, yeah, it takes you away from the football pitch for a while and gives you a nice beachside location to look at instead. It's good vibes. Beach levels are some of my favourite levels in gaming, so to see that from our Pro Tag's actual shot is good. I'm keen on this one quite a bit. The fact that it overpowers a double block from Jude and Elliot together, and then the fur trapper from Mickey Way in goal as well, that's probably a bit too much. Like, yeah, I get Sonny's a forward, but he's a versatile one. He's clearly not a maximum strength one like Basil Hardy's going for. He's a versatile forward that can do whatever you need, and he can take shots if necessary. But I don't know if the move's that strong. But there's only 90 seconds left on the match, so it needed to go in, and it does. Raimon are winning 5-4. And that's good. You know, 5-4s, they happen sometimes in Inazuma, but they're a rarity. This has gotten more unconventional as it's gone along. And then more importantly, Elliot just starts asking for help. He's like, they've accepted that they're already through. They could lose this match and they'll still qualify, while Raimon actually need to win to get in. It's finally acknowledged at this point. But, you know, he calls this guy captain for the first time to ask him for help, and calls upon Jude and the rest of them. And it's just really nice to see him asking for help. And the line from Acker himself, of course, is, "I never thought I'd hear him call me captain." And they just have a nice, faithful bit of football for the next 60 seconds. The Raimon captain, Maxime, he almost seems like he's going to do something for the first time in this entire season, but he just doesn't. He's on screen. I was waiting for him to do something, and he just didn't. But yeah, I mean, the whole dynamic of Elliot on forward, Jude in midfield, and Acker in defence definitely makes Polestar feel complete. I like that about them. It just didn't work out for them because the match is over and Raimon won and have qualified for the Nationals. So well done to them. Sonny didn't even realise that Polestar were already through. He's a bit gutted to learn that he hadn't actually knocked them out, but then soon gets over it because he's like, wait a minute, I like that Elliot guy. I want to keep playing football with him. And they actually have a nice little chat, which is good because we are now officially halfway through the season. It's not like, say, Inazuma 11 Go, where Victor Blade has his good moment a little bit too early for me. For Aries, they actually picked kind of the right moment for for Elliot and Sonny to actually start getting along. They have a little bantery chat. He's still, you know, trying to be himself in a Caleb Stonewall kind of way, but nice. It's good to see these two getting on while still being rivals, and they will both be going further into the tournament. We'll see how that goes for them. But the last thing to note before the episode ends is that I've not really been drawing attention to it in the past couple of matches, but every time Raimon are playing a match, there's always Heath Moore and Dusk Grayling from Lunar Prime Academy watching in the stands and making comments about what Mr. Yi's been doing to overcome the other players, or what Raimon are doing on their own accord. This guy clearly very good with his tactics, and once again unravelling what Mr. Yi had managed to do, but shows genuine fear of him, noting that Lunar Prime will have to win this tournament and things like that. But it's good to show that he's not just being a brain box, that he's actually got some fear of Mr. Yi. But more importantly, Dusk leaves to go back to his school, I guess, and Heath Moore just kind of collapses. And it's like, didn't see that coming. What's happening here? It's definitely about time we got more from him than just talking in the stands, because, you know, if we're meant to believe the halfway credits sequences, you've got Sonny, Elliot and Heath as like your main three for the season, but we've not seen too much of Heath until he just falls over and collapses. And similarly, another character we've not seen much from yet. This is kind of Regina Mulgrave's moment to get a little bit of focus in the story as she rushes over to help him up. Heath says, "Regina, that's a wonderful name. I'll be sure to remember it." And that's very nice of you to say, Heath, but Regina is probably not worthy. Sorry to anyone in the comments who's called Regina, but I don't think it's the worthy of the compliment. But nevertheless, yeah, he pops over to a hospital to go and visit Faith, and then Regina's seen that he's dropped his pills, so she goes after him. And it's just this whole mishmash of everyone everywhere in this one hospital scene. We've got Elliot walking out on his friend Faith, Heath walking in, and then she starts talking to go through whatever weird plan they're watching. Then Regina's watching from the other side of the door to say, "Oh, is that his girlfriend? Are you jealous, love? You've only just spoken to this guy once." And then she passes the meds on to the nurse just to chuck on an extra character in this list. This is all within like 1 minute. And it's like, how many people go to this hospital in one day? But the main thing is, we've finally got a bit of promise that both Heath and Regina will have a little bit more to do in the season. But that's it for now. We are halfway through Inazuma 11 Aries. I hope you've been enjoying the reviews just as much as I've been enjoying rewatching the season. Really, really is a good episode, a good season of Inazuma overall, and not a bad episode either. We will see you in the next one for episode 14, where we see how the second half of the season is going to kick off. Bye for now.